I don't want to take up any more time talking because we've got three experts with video here with us today. So thank you for joining us for the Open Y Meetup on video. You're about to hear from the pros of the Y movement for video, Nathan Hippenmeyer from YMCA of the Greater Twin Cities, and Mike Hodge and John Kidwell from Houston. So with that, I am going to pass off to Hip, John, and Mike.
Yes, hello and welcome to our presentation on live streaming and video. As Amber said, we have about 30 minutes, so this is going to be a blitzkrieg of information. Buckle in, get ready. They say if you're nervous, you should imagine your audience without their pants on, and I'm afraid that is actually a little too close to reality, and I'm a little terrified, so I'm just going to picture you all in khakis, which is making me feel better. My name is Nathan Hippenmeyer, and I work remotely for the Twin Cities Y in Dayton, Ohio. So if you're ever in Dayton, use Trivago. That's what it's there for. I have a toddler. You wouldn't want to come over anyways, but I'm lucky to be presenting alongside John and Mike, who are doing a phenomenal job with their live streaming. Amber originally asked me to do the presentation on streaming and video and pitched me as a pro, and then I looked at their website and my jaw dropped through the floor and I was just so blown away. But they're going to share some really awesome stuff today about their setup, and I'm excited for us to get there. But today, first, we're going to talk a little bit about the philosophy of live streaming. Why are we doing it? How can we prove this to the C-suite? Why does it matter to them and to our orgs? Then we're going to talk about creating and distributing content to members, what we're doing, the equipment we're using to build that experience, future plans for streaming, and then end with a Q&A if we're lucky. Okay, so if there's one thing I want you all to take away from all of this is that our members want connection, not perfection. So as you see tech and equipment and gear that's coming up on the screen, please do not feel intimidated. Remember that people come to the Y for community, and we need to just do our best to provide that in this weird dystopian parallel universe that we've all been thrown into. That's what people want. So don't hold back, like get into live streaming right now. Be willing to be imperfect. If there's a story to my life, it's my willingness to be imperfect. Just ask my wife, she'll tell you all about that. But once we get open and our buildings are open and things get back to normal, we can improve on that experience over time. But for now, be willing to be raw and clumsy and honest. People are really graceful right now with streaming. So why are we doing this? What value does it offer us at the Y? And how do we explain the benefits of live streaming to our C-suite? How do we convince them that we need technology, that we should put some money towards this? And I know a lot of you know this, but video is king right now. And I'm just going to go over some strong data to support those claims so that we can have a greater awareness and perspective of what we're asking for. Overall, live streaming is important, first of all, because it plays into a greater content marketing strategy. And as our audience grows, they'll be able to trust and rely on our guidance and recognize the Y's unique value proposition in the digital space and ultimately reward us with business and loyalty. And there is an audience out there that wants to see our content. It blows me away that last year there was almost as many people watching a League of Legends World Championship live as the Super Bowl. That is wild. Like, that niche is out there and it exists. People are streaming. And in December alone, 1.1 billion viewing hours is insane. And so when you look at the entire internet and what content is out there, live streaming is expected, and this is based on a Cisco forecast they did in 2017, to take up 82% of all internet traffic in 2020. So do we want to be a part of that internet traffic, or do we want to leave that for the rest of the brands out there to dominate? That's a rhetorical question. I hear a lot too while we're doing this, even in Twin Cities, they're not seeing why this matters yet, right? Like, we haven't made a digital membership yet, right? We are struggling sometimes to see the return on investment. But since there is a market out there, I see what we're doing right now is laying the groundwork for a future digital membership experience. Do we know right now the bells and whistles and exact details of what that digital membership experience is? No. Is it coming? Yes, I totally believe that. This slide, I think, speaks for itself. People would rather see live video than read a blog. And I still think there's importance to having a blog and written word, but it speaks for itself. If that wasn't enough for you, Here are 5 other reasons that I believe right now are immediate benefits for our whys. And I'm not going to talk about all of these. Number one, I'll explain really briefly. A lot of us are using the messaging of stay with us, and I think it's been really smart and really effective. But I think it's our responsibility to provide some type of value in the fitness realm. And so at the very least, like, let's give our members something to do while they're quarantined, if nothing else. But also the benefits of potential virtual check-ins through insurance pairs, building those stronger channels, updating our SEO, just all of it. We've seen phenomenal growth in Twin Cities on all of our social channels, over 4,000 new followers across YouTube, Facebook. So it's been a huge boost and tons of engagement. We've seen an increase of 1,050% of our engagement rate compared to pre-COVID, pre-live streaming. So it's been such a great way for us to connect with our members. And I think you will see that too if you just start. And our setup is not amazing, guys. If you've seen our stuff, it's like, it's okay. Like, it's running, but it's not what Houston has done. So enough of the boring stuff. Let's talk about equipment and process. And for that, I pass the mic to John and Mike, who through trial and error have learned a lot, so that you don't have to. John and Mike, the digital stage is all yours.
Thank you, Nathan. I think the most important thing to focus on is that trial and error. And Nathan had a really good slogan before, in the motto that we have adopted is produce content and iterate for quality, because we said we need to get something out there. So even as we start to go into where we started and what platforms, like, let's just hold that all of our streaming started on a 7-year-old's iPad inside of its green frog case. And we've moved from there and essentially have been supercharged by the power of Mike Hodge. And so that's where all of this started on March 16th, because our live stream and digital footprint on March 15th was 0. We can go to the next one and we'll talk through that iteration of how we progressed, because it was absolutely nothing. And then all of us said we should do something, and it started on Facebook, and it started with an iPad, and it started on, just random YMCA Facebooks. I don't know how yours is set up, but we essentially have an association one and then a whole bunch of center ones. And we came to Mike and said, what do we do and how do we do this? And then Mike had some ideas for us.
Yeah, well, that time of the trial and error, which it really was trial and error. I love the green case and the iPad, because that was class number 1. It was a yoga class, and
Yep.
This was all trial and error. And it was, if you look at what we broadcast on day 1 versus today, it's night and day difference. But the fact that we even started on day 1 when we started this, if we could show you the member comments on the chat feature that we enabled for the active older adults, we captured those. We sent those around, and it was bringing tears to people's eyes, because it goes, what Nathan said earlier, the members want connection, not perfection. Even our iPad and a green case had it made so much impact on this group of people. So it was really, it was fantastic. But the conversation started. John and team, we're Zoom users. We're a Zoom shop. We like using Zoom, whether you're a pro Zoom or against Zoom. We thought, hey, why don't we utilize this and use Zoom and see if we do virtual classes? Well, immediately you go to being IT and went to the red flag. No, we can't do that, because just thinking about Nathan and his comment earlier about people wearing khakis, that's where he's going to picture. Well, I thought if we did Zoom meetings, this is before Zoom bombing had even ever been mentioned in the media, all it would take is one person to forget that their camera was on and be participating in a yoga class with the wrong thing on, and I'd see Amber laughing and all of the tears in her eyes. And that was, immediately go to the negatives. So we did a little research and found out that Zoom did a webinar model. So it would be more of a set and get. Instead of a two-way communication, we could push out content that just enabled chat features. So to make a chat with a moderator, or a moderator could help out. And that was the first iteration of the Zoom webinar. And it seemed to work for a little while, and it worked okay. Then we found out, hey, we can take this, and using Zoom's webinar feature, we can now broadcast this and stream it to multiple channels at once. We went from Zoom webinars to YouTube and Facebook Live, all simulcasting. So that was just that one button click was fantastic. And there's some stuff within Zoom webinars that there's pros, there's cons. It compresses the videos a little bit. And then we went from that, we wanted to take the quality up a little bit. We went and did something called OBS, and not just plain OBS, but Streamlabs OBS. And that decreased the compression on the video content, a little tweaking with audio, and we were off and running. And just to let you know, the hardware behind this, Jim Perro's not on the call. I pinged him to see if he would be on the call, but I wanted to use him as an example. Got a call from Jim and Brandywine and said, hey, how are you guys doing this? What kind of hardware do you have? And I said, well, we cannibalized some parts out of the storage closet because John's team called and said they needed something. And we took I think it was an i5 processor. We beefed up the RAM to 16 gig of RAM for the geeks on here. 500 gigabyte SSD drives. We'd have quick IO on it and a free version of Streamlabs OBS. That's it. It was all just cannibalized parts. The cost was probably less than $500 tops, and it was probably less because again it was refurbed computer stuff. It wasn't even that new out of the box, and that's what we're using right now. We're using the exact same gear. So don't let cost be a hindrance. Don't let that hold you back.
Yeah, and for us on our side, as Mike said, we started using that streaming platform, and thankfully we got into the position where Zoom could no longer hold the number of people, and we also started finding it was tough to get that registration piece, and we said, how do we make this more accessible? How do we really just test this at scale? And at that time we said we're going to drop Zoom with a pre-registration. We're going to forego the fact that we would get an email on every single person, and we're going to go straight to YouTube. And when we did that, it was really the second iteration of growth that we had. And now going straight to YouTube through Mike's setup and the continued setup. Whenever there's a problem, we call Mike and he solves it. And we're pushing out between 5 and 7 classes a day. And we still have classes that every now and then are, 15 people. And the largest class that we've had at any one time is 9,100 people. And so there's a ton of fun stuff on the back end, and we are legitimately and honestly just playing and trying different things every day. We've retitled things, we've entered different keywords on the backside, we've tried different chat strategies. We have somebody that has gone in and built in intros and outros to put on the backside, but all of it is extremely iterative in nature, and I'm not sure that we've run a single class the same way as one prior to it. Just kind of making it up as we go, and then figuring out like, oh, that worked, we should try that again. And that's where we've gone from a 0 on March 15th to in April, we served 107,000 people. It's a duplicated number, but 107,000 total views in April. And then we're going to talk about some of the equipment in a little bit more detail. And I know nothing about any of that, so I'm going to let anyone besides myself talk.
That leaves me. Wait a minute. So it's just the two of us presenting. So that's me. Great.
Yeah.
All right. So, all right. Well, I'll take that one. So as I was saying earlier, we just cannibalized parts out of the storage closet to build a PC with what we did, and then we found out that we wanted another one, so we built another one the same way. So it was just cannibalized parts. It didn't take a lot of horsepower to do it. For webcams, what you're viewing, if you look at today's content, yesterday's content, all the way back to a couple of weeks ago, it's 2 webcams, 2 Microsoft webcams. We have one that's a 1080 and then one that's 720. And if you want to know why we have one that's 720 and one that's 1080, it's because couldn't find 2 1080s in the organization at the time. The webcams became very difficult to find. But if you look at our quality, that's just it's a basic off-the-shelf webcam. There's no fancy video capture card, nothing behind it. It's just a webcam like I'm using right now, just something hanging off the top of the monitor. for the audio portion of it, we're using a portable group exercise speaker. That was something that was just one of the execs had. Again, the original iteration went through Zoom webinars and then went from there. We started with one webcam, then we decided we wanted to do multi-angle. That's when we had to find the other one. It was the 720. That's really it. We've upgraded some things along the way. We've added in a mixer this week to be able to get the volume for the instructor up and the music down, or balance them a little bit better. So we're adding a mixer into the mix, paying attention to things like room volume, making sure the audio is not, while the instructor might like to hear the boom, 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 there's a delay in capturing that and pushing that out. So we brought the room volume really down a whole lot. That was a lesson we learned. But I mean, that's it. Besides Streamlabs OBS, and can't help but underline the Streamlabs part of Streamlabs OBS. Streamlabs, or just plain OBS, is not the same as Streamlabs OBS. We couldn't get OBS itself to do what we wanted to do. So, but it's free. So Streamlabs OBS gives you the ability to put a bug in and add some other graphics and effects to the product that you're delivering. For bandwidth, the only consideration you might want to be aware of is think about upload speed, because we're all usually worried about download. How quick can I get something? But you're actually pushing stuff up when you're broadcasting. So yeah, I don't think anything above kind of 40 meg pipe would probably work just fine. We're working on a 100 meg pipe internally at the site that we're broadcasting from. But I think a 40 would be just fine. So if you had like 40 up and whatever 200 down, you'd be just fine. So, but take into consideration upload speed.
And then kind of, oh, sorry, go ahead, Mike.
No, I was good, John. Your turn, man.
I think one of the pieces that Mike and I have said a lot, and we just haven't said it yet on this call, is the tremendous people that are around us. I mean, we have a team of individuals that are leaning into researching things they've never done before, executives, program directors, and such, just figuring all of these things out. And they're getting good at it because they've now been immersed in it for 7 to 9 weeks. And we just had some people that said, hey, I'm with you, let's figure this out and go. And for us, we have plans to continue this after. The data and some of the stats that Nathan shared earlier are really intriguing to us, and we see this as a way to move some of the YMCA experience into a digitally native platform, and where it can connect with people wherever they are, but it can also supplement what we do so well in our buildings. And so right now it's a YouTube channel. We don't believe that it will always stay as a YouTube channel. We're now producing family and youth development content, which is pre-recorded and edited, and we use a publish feature in YouTube to put that out. We do plan to have this as a part of the membership at some point in the future. And the one that I think is really cool is if for those that attend a church or do something where you have multi-site video, we are planning to move into simulcasting of group exercise, where we may have one rockstar instructor broadcast through 20 of our YMCAs. So Mike and I get to figure that out, and I don't know that we know how to do that yet, but at some point that is something that we hope to be able to say that we have accomplished.
And with confidence, I think we can say we made it this far. I think we can get that. That's that next step. We can get it, but I think we've got that one under control. We're going to make it. So,
oh yeah, we will.
Good stuff. Yes.
Awesome. So, do you guys want to move into some question and answers? I see that there have already been some questions coming up, and I think Kat said she had 2. So, Kat, you want to jump in?
Yeah, and actually, Mike answered one of my questions. My name's Kat. I'm with the Missoula Family YMCA. One of them was what OBS software you used. It sounds like you used Streamlabs, so that's fantastic to know. I was curious, is it possible to use something like Streamlabs to not only stream to YouTube and Facebook, but also like a gated page on your website?
I'm saying, yeah, I'll field. The answer. I'm not sure. That's one of those trial and error. We're learning as we go. We haven't tried to do it direct to a page on the site. I would have to assume it's possible. Just you could almost iframe a YouTube. That's a YouTube video. Put it in an iframe. So yeah, I think it's very possible. Good idea.
I'm a Mac user, so I actually can't use Streamlabs, but I use OBS, and OBS allows me to stream into Restream, which is a place that allows you to simulcast. And they have a widget. It's in beta, but it works great. And it's essentially a widget for an iframe, and you just drop in the source code on a simple content block in OpenY in your Drupal backend, and it'll show up on that page. And so when it's not live, there's like this placeholder that shows both your Facebook account and your YouTube account, and it lets them click to subscribe so they get that notification. So restream.io, it is a paid thing, but it's like $99 a month for 10 different streaming pages, like destinations they call them. So it is possible.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
So we just learned something out of this, John. This was great. We just got paid. Perfect.
I saw one of the questions was a picture of the setup. I just emailed it to Amber and Nathan, and they can share it out with the distribution group.
And I'm also seeing some comments about will there be this slide deck and will there be a video? Yes, to both of those. We actually have them in a Dropbox, and actually, there you go. Amber has that. And there's also an infographic in there that I have been creating as I've been learning that kind of gives some like, okay, so like this connects here and this connects to this, and here's how you can make these play together. And here's a phase 1 approach. Here's a phase 2, phase 3. So hopefully it will guide you. It is an infographic, so it's minimalist by nature, but hopefully it gives you some visual to assist.
Can't stress enough. If you're interested in doing this, just do it. Just do it. It's really, just jump in. There's some interesting ones out there we've seen too. So yeah, there's some good ones, some really good ones. So just jump in, start creating content.
Caitlin, what's your question about engagement?
Hi, I'm from the YMCA of Greater Grand Rapids, and we are playing around with this idea of live streaming as well. My question is, so when you live stream a yoga class, do you typically get a lot of engagement while the class is going, while it's live? Because when I think about it, when we're in a yoga class, we're not typically talking to each other during this class. And I was just wondering if there's a different response, I guess, to the live stream.
Yeah, that's a great question. So the same person that's filming it and producing it for us is also running the chat box. And we do comments in each of those. Our most active respondents are #1 senior fitness classes, and then #2 we're doing some classes in Spanish, and so those are the next highest. Yogas, Pilates, it's much less, but we'll get a comment or two. The senior one, as Mike said, it goes on for days, and we found that it's one of our strategies for getting people to, we'll ask them to like it, we'll ask them to subscribe, we'll ask them how the audio is, we'll ask them how their day is going. I mean, it's just, we're going out there trying to get engagement with the senior videos. What we found is that there is some sort of algorithm that is unbeknownst to us, but trial and error. When we get a certain number of people, a certain number of likes, a certain number of interactions in the comments, all of it happening in a certain amount of time, YouTube picks us up as a recommended video. And that's when it gets really interesting on people that are viewing and just how large that audience can grow. So we do it for every class. Not all of them are as popular as others. And you have to tell Adam Schilling I said hi, and I used to work at the Y in Grand Rapids.
I will do that. Thank you.
And I'll tag on the end of that question with, we also, using Streamlabs OBS, it's through the YouTube channel where we push it to. So if somebody subscribes to it, or likes the video, they'll get a pop-up that says like, "Hey, Mike, thanks for subscribing to the channel." And if one person does it, you'll see it'll start cascading. Especially with the active older adults, they'd love to see their name flash up on the screen. So if they subscribe to the channel, so it's a good carrot on the stick.
Yep.
So would
Which
you
I'm
say?
sure is not the marketing term.
Yeah, yeah. Would you say that having that communication piece, like, so we are looking at having a video, a quality video that we put up on maybe a Facebook event or even on our YouTube, and then having the communication portion after where they can engage with the instructor one-on-one. Just for the quality purposes, we want to make sure that's controlled. Would you say that I guess that instant communication would be better and something we should strongly consider more?
We have found that the attendance has followed in a bell curve essentially for beginning and end of class and what's going on in the interim. And we actually, at this stage, we're pre-recording, and then we are just making what happens on Saturday look like it's live through OBS and through running it in Facebook in a live format, but it's technically pre-recorded, and we're still having someone engage in that chat box. And for us, it is working better that way. Trying to get things before, after, or outside of, we've not been successful with yet. It seems as though people are okay engaging with a chat moderator because they know that the instructor is not actually talking to them. But it's been okay, and people have responded in that fashion.
Something that I love that Jim Pero has done, and I don't know if he stole this from you guys in Houston, but like he just put a huge TV for his trainer to see that has like the comment section like ginormous for the instructor to see, and so they're able to respond like just live in the video really quickly, really well. And if you use Restream, it'll put all of the chats from Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn is in beta, and you have to like request to be a part of their streaming service. And I requested, and so far I haven't heard anything. So we'll see where that goes. But that's kind of a cool setup to have all of your chats in one section, and it's really easy for your social media or trainer to answer.
Jen didn't steal that. They're going to steal that from Jen, by the way. So that's a great idea, and that helps by doing that. Jen's able to do that his is a little bit of a different delivery method. A lot of things are very similar, but he's so the instructors will be by themselves in the studio doing this. They start the content or start the stream, do the class, and since they can see that large monitor, they can respond to the comments that are coming in real time, and they don't need the moderator. So it helps them out. So they're not having to put another body in there.
Yeah, we totally need to put that screen in there though, Mike, because we're using a whiteboard. Like we'll just hold up a whiteboard and have them say something. So next level.
So we have hit our 3:30 mark. Kat has another question. I don't know if we want to wrap this up and finish, or if we want to do one more question just to kind of wrap it up.
I'm going to jump in and say, for the sake of time, we need to wrap it up. And Kat, and Sam, I know you had we've got the picture of the setup, but if you have a question and we did not have time to answer it, please pop it into the chat. I will stay online as long as those keep coming in, and I'll collect them, because I'm seeing a version 2 on our agenda for videos. And so if you are interested in learning a little bit more and maybe having a little bit more time for Q&A, let me know. I've already heard from a few people that couldn't make it today, want to do more. I'm guessing that we could get Mike back. We could probably get Jim Pero back. John is going to be with his wife having a baby, so he will not be back. But we'll have more details to share from Houston as well. So look for that. We'll try to do it in June, and we'll be watching out for why reopening. Thank you Thank you, thank you, thank you, Hip, Mike, and John. This was really fantastic. And man, video was important before, and now during COVID, it is so crucial for us to be connecting with our members in that way. And I know that my key takeaways are just do something, and it's okay to MacGyver it. And that like that was so brilliant. So connection, not perfection, folks. Do something. And I think many of you already have the invite for the next couple of weeks. We've got HTML with David Wells from Middle Tennessee on the 14th, content from Sarah, or content with Sarah on the 21st. And I'm gonna shush, and I'll be back in touch over the internet. But Hip, Mike, John, any closing words?
You can do it. We're doing it with less professionals than you have, and I know you can do it.
Excellent. Thank you so much, guys, for sharing. Thanks everybody for joining us. Look for the announcement on Videos Take Two coming to an inbox near you soon. Have a great rest of your Thursday. Bye.